to go, GNCC Racing!
We are back on the Mason-Dixon line, the Rocky Mountain ATVNC round of the 2018 AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Series. Jason Wygant here. I say back, these are hallowed grounds for GNCC Racing. More on that in a bit, but first, some other hallowed grounds. Our previous race, our AMSOIL race recap, Racing in the Rain, the art of it all, at Snowshoe. Now, this is the most challenging race in the year for many reasons. You throw in this type of conditions, oh boy, look out. Here is Stu Baylor leading the way early. He's very good when the track gets tough like this. Caleb Russell, your defending series champ, right behind him. Russell has improved quite a bit in the gnarly conditions through the years. Later in the race, Ampro Yamaha rider Ricky Russell, who won the event last year, gets into the lead, and the man out of the Pacific Northwest probably comfortable with all the rain coming down. But in a mud race, you always have to contend with Thad Duvall. He is the one chasing Russell in the series standings. And he's so good at this track and so good in the mud, but something seems to go wrong for him every year. Here's problems for Baylor. Track starting to wreak havoc, especially on brakes. Grant Baylor, his brother, problems as well. So they lose time in the Teely Energy KTM pits. Caleb Russell to the #1 spot and riding very hard despite how slippery and rocky it is here at Snowshoe. And you see how quickly things can go wrong here in these conditions. This is not your regular Sunday ride. It appeared this would be another classic Duvall and Russell battle to the end, but Russell takes the win without competition to the checkers because a wrist injury would claim Duvall, and Russell celebrates.
Race was tough. Started raining right as we went to the starting line, and obviously unique start 5 to a row on the asphalt, super slick. Just kind of felt the track in. Had a really good first 2 laps, just kind of following those guys. Stu sprinted out, got to a little bit of a lead, and I ran him down. I think he made a mistake, and I was able to get right on him. But yeah, me and Thad were just kind of at it the entire race, and it's a bummer he crashed and got hurt. You know, some of these places, some of this, you know, the trails here. The road beds and stuff are really sketchy, and some of the downhills are steep and it's kind of scary too. So, and especially when you got to pitch the goggles, like you just can't see. You know, your vision goes down by, your speed goes down by half, and you know the sketchiness goes up. So, fortunate enough that I was able to keep my goggles on for most of the race, I'd say, but it was still tough. Brutal conditions. I wish it would have just kept raining because it started tacking up at the end and it got real slimy, real greasy, heavy. But yeah, it was a great day. Happy to get back on top at Snowshoe, and it's been a while.
Here are your Snowshoe results. Grant Baylor recovers for second, Trevor Bollinger third. Now after that race, to complete these Rocky Mountain ATV MC results, we had a summer break, and that allowed Duvall to heal up and get ready for this, the Mason-Dixon GNCC line on the famous High Point motocross track. Here's why you should watch.
It's just, you got to keep your head down and going that whole 3 hours, and you know, there's a lot of good guys, and I feel like there's a lot of guys hungry for wins these last couple races, and you know, then of course you got Caleb, so it's going for another championship. I feel like I put on a good show at the beginning of the year, and hopefully we'll finish strong. And you know, if you haven't been out to a GNCC yet, it's crazy. There's hillbillies, rednecks. It's awesome. You know, I really enjoy it. I feel like that's the best part of the aspect of the whole GNCC series is, you know, there's people cheering on and drinking beer, and it's wild. It's crazy for sure, and I really enjoy it. I grew up around it. I mean, I remember being here in 2002. I was able to win the overall on a youth. So it's been a long time coming for here, and I'm excited to be back. The place looks awesome, and we'll see how tomorrow goes.
We're just pumped to see Thad healed up from the wrist injury. And we ring in the occasion to return here to what they call Matthews Farm, right across the street from the High Point motocross track. We'll get on that moto track in a bit. As we complete our first lap here, we are underway. And a great start for Duvall. So welcome back to racing after the wrist injury, going to grab the all balls hole shot award on the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna. Looks like his teammate Josh Strang right there with him, and I think it's Russell right there in third. Strang usually a lightning quick starter. Duval, that's a rare hole shot for him, although he has been improving. Let's watch XC2. This is your 250 class. His championship is boiling down to 2 riders, Ben Kelly and Josh Toth. Good battle off the line. It's going to be Mason Atherton grabbing your Hot Cams hole shot award. I think that's Toth right there in behind him, who's got to make up some ground on his buddy Kelly, who has a series points lead. They are now second and third as Atherton leads them into the woods here in Pennsylvania. And yes, this race is named the Mason-Dixon GNCC for a reason. We are right on the Pennsylvania-West Virginia state line. One more class to watch, FMF XC3, the 125s. Let's hear him wind it out. Alex Teagarden, Pennsylvania native, gonna grab the Weisco Hole Shot Award. It's a small class just getting revamped in GNCC to bring the 125s back at an old school racetrack. Stay with us.
The AMSOIL GNCC series on Racer TV is brought to you in part by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics, Rocky Mountain ATVMC, get ready, and Monster Energy, unleash the beast.
It is awesome to have Grand National Cross Country Racing with AMSOIL back at Mount Morris, Pennsylvania. Race has changed a lot since we were last here in 2003. We have e-assist mountain bikes as part of the program these days. Here's your leader, Stu Baylor. Listen to the effort that it takes to get up these hills. Ricky Russell on the left in second, but not for long. Thad Duval just overhauled him through the mud. Trevor Bollinger coming through next on the Honda, and then Josh Strang and another Rockstar Husqvarna. Where's Caleb Russell? There he is, so a good start for him, but he's lost several positions early. Pasquale Raschenecker out of Austria right behind him. Raschenecker moving up to the big 450 class, and XC1. Baylor's trying to move away. Bollinger's the one to give him a run, so they've gotten around Ricky Russell. There's Duval. This is just classic conditions. A little bit muddy, but not overwhelmingly so. Lots of ups and downs. Got to pick good lines. And Baylor making it look so good right now. Stu is such a hard sprinter early in these races. So the question is, can he save enough energy while pulling away like this to hold off a hard charge? Because it looks like Duval is on his horse and going. Into the pits, and the Teely Energy crew gonna gas up Stu here. There's Duval. Will he stop in the Rockstar Husky pits? Oh, no, he won't. So it is side by side. Pass is going to be made. So a little bit different fuel stop strategy. Pays off, at least for now. Duval in the #1 spot. Baylor's going to have to try to stay close for the entire next lap and then try to get him back in the pits. But it is so hard when Bad Thad is going to stay with him. And a bad line choice there for Stu. Bollinger running strong here on the Johnny Campbell Racing Honda in third. We'll see who comes through next. Could it be Strang? Could it be Ricky Russell? Maybe Caleb Russell? We saw Raschenecker in the group with them. It's Caleb coming through. It's still early in the race, so plenty of time for him to try to make a run, but you don't normally see him back there. Strang coming through next. Raschenecker. Actually, it was Raschenecker and then Strang. So Raschenecker showing some of the talent that we expected. Whoa! And a change for the lead and nearly a loop out. Baylor retaking the lead from Duval, and these guys are hustling. It is not pretty today in these conditions. It's just tough. A lot of down on the seat, revving the bike, using the clutch. This is just hardcore off-road racing. With these ruts, man, easy to make mistakes. So Duval gets the lead, loses it. Baylor on a big run around the outside to clear the lap traffic, and he does. I don't know if I'd enjoy riding in these conditions, but it sure is fun to watch these guys push the pace. There is Bollinger throwing I think, a drink off to the side. These guys all run a drink system on their back, but for 3 hours it doesn't hold enough. So they're usually in the pits. Someone will throw them a big bottle with a straw. There's Caleb Russell into the FMF KTM factory pit. Just not the typical aggression from Caleb today. And he did have a big crash racing motocross at Unadilla over the summer break. He kind of laid low about what the extent of the injuries might be, but can't really decide until it's over. But if he doesn't make a push for the podium today, you've got to wonder if maybe he's not 100%. And the man to take advantage, it has to be Thad Duvall. Mathematically, he's still in the championship chase. He's gotten back around Stu Baylor. But this track will reach up and fight you at any time. Lots of racing left. In the shadows of High Point Raceway and the Mason-Dixon GNCC. Brought to you by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Oh, Baylor making another charge. Stay with us.
The AMSOIL GNCC series on Racer TV is brought to you in part by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready. And Monster Energy, unleash the beast.
And they're having fun over at the Rockstar Husqvarna pit. There's the Strang gang hanging out. Josh Strang putting in a great race today as the baby watch continues for him. Here we go. This has gone back and forth between Stu Baylor and Thad Duvall this entire race. I can't even count how many passes. What a great ride for Baylor today. We've seen him get good leads and sprint away, but he has responded every time Duvall's put the challenge to him, and look at him pull away here. Stu is just motoring through these difficult conditions. And it's wild to watch how hard these riders push on tracks that are this tough. Let's check in with our XC2 riders. No surprise. Kelly and Toth going at it all day. Toth right now in the number one, the lead. Kelly right behind him. And as they push each other, they're moving further up in the overall ranks on adjusted time. They start 1 minute behind. The riders are seeing on the 450s. So if they get within 1 minute of them on the racetrack, they're actually ahead on adjusted time. Now it's Kelly in the lead over Toth. Toth riding for the factory FMF KTM team. Trail Jesters squad helping out Kelly, although their equipment is actually quite similar with good support from KTM, even for Kelly. Is Duvall back in the lead again? I can't even keep count of the amount of times these guys have swapped it. Baylor able to power through to try to keep the heat on Duvall. And now Duvall starting to slip away in the latter stages. But Stu Baylor still has plenty in the tank. He is hustling, hoping for one last mistake from Duvall here to get back in it. Gosh, these guys are so good at what they do. Those ruts are treacherous. And instead, you see Duvall sees that big rut and thinks, yeah, I'm going to rail that like a motocross berm. Lap traffic all over the place. These amateur riders are exhausted after 3 hours of racing, which you can certainly understand. Oh, the lead is now big for Duvall, still waiting on Baylor. Here he is. The wind might be a little bit out of the sails now. He's still trying, but Thad Duvall is headed for daylight. What a clutch win for him this would be. After heartbreak at our last race at Snowshoe, the wrist injury cost him dearly. He was able to get back into competition because we had that long break for summer, and what a way to get back into it with a huge win. And with Caleb Russell struggling today, Thad's going to make up a little bit of the ground. Not a lot of it, but a little bit of the ground that he lost at our last race at Snowshoe. And the West Virginia native got a lot of local fans cheering him right across the state line here in Pennsylvania, and he wins the Rocky Mountain Mason-Dixon GNCC. That was a tough one.
The toughest win all year for sure. I don't know, man. The track was physically demanding. It was just a long 3 hours, it felt like, and it's just like, man, he dreaded every lap. It was tough. The track was, yeah, it was tough. It was just like some of it was so slick he couldn't hardly ride, and then some of it was like so ruddy he couldn't hardly ride. It was crazy. It was like 2 opposite tracks in one, and yeah, Stu was riding phenomenal the first couple laps, and I couldn't do anything to keep up with him. I was like, man, I was just like, hey, he's going. So I was like, God, just try to drone race, and was able to put in a push in the middle of the race and catch up, and then he made a mistake over here with 2 laps to go, and I said, all right, time to go. So I put my head down and charged, and here I am, another win of the year, so it was good.
As I suspected, this was a tough one, and Duval backed it up, and you can see that in the posture of Stuart Baylor. Man, he worked so hard today, but he is spent here at the line. That is as hard-earned of a podium and runner-up finish as you're going to get. Good job by Stu to bring the Teely Energy machine on the box.
The track was good. You know, it got really rough, really demanding, and I'm smoked. Like I ran out of water halfway through the race, and I'm out of it right now.
And you can see the struggle there, and normally no one is more outspoken or fun to chat with than Stu, but this one took it all out of him, and I think a lot of the other riders as well. Except these young bucks of the XC2 division, they just do not back down, and under relentless pressure from his buddy Tote the entire time, the long, lanky New Englander, Ben Kelly, is going to not only win XC2, but will take 3rd overall in adjusted time for the day. What a run. Could soon be a championship run for him.
It was wild, you know. Walking the track, it looked a lot like Steel Creek, and I really liked that race. So I was excited coming in and just wanted to get a good start so I didn't have to work so hard, and did that. Was 3rd. Was right behind Josh. Me and him were moving. We're just freight training for, you know, the first 3 quarters of the race. Really tightened speed, and yeah, it was fun. But yeah, I just took my time after a few crashes, and yeah, made my way into the lead and pushed, and caught a lot of XC1 guys, and it was pretty wild to see the back of their jerseys, just me catching them, and yeah, I just tried to do my own thing and keep going, and super pumped to be on 3rd overall.
Let's give you the AMSOIL race recap. Great start by Duval, planting that front wheel hard as the Yamaha of Ricky Russell that allows Caleb Russell to get by him. Josh Strang also in the mix. Thought we'd have another classic Duval and Russell battle up front, but Caleb just didn't have it today. I suspect potentially the motocross injuries catching up with him, but for whatever reason, it was Stu Baylor to put on the charge for Duval on this race day, and what a challenge it was. Duval caught him and passed him several times. Stu fought back each time. It was really fun to watch, especially considering how difficult this track was. If you're going to come back to a GNCC facility you haven't raced on in 15 years, well, it better be old school style conditions. And with this mud, the ruts, and the ups and downs, it definitely was an old school challenge. Early pit stop for Stu, late pit stop for Duval. So Duval goes by without stopping and takes over the #1 spot. And I thought after he won this drag race here and locked down the position, that it would be over. But Stu just would not give up. And as he told us post-race, he ran out of water halfway through, but he kept on digging and was able to eventually retake the lead. Then Duval got him back. And late, Duval, who's really stepped up his fitness the last few seasons, was able to pull away. Hard-earned win. You can see the goggles are off as he's trying to get ventilated as best he can. He's got enough energy to celebrate. That one has got to feel good. Here's your Rocky Mountain ATV MC results. Russell 4th. Strang, a great job getting it up on the podium. Raschenecker a solid 5th ahead of Bollinger. So that is a great day of racing as we welcome Grand National Cross Country back to the Mason-Dixon line and welcome Thad Duval back into competition. Clearly healed up with a wrist injury, winning one of the toughest races of the year. Congrats to him.